We are back together. It's another episode of the End Podcast. I am Brandon, aka DJ Silk. So happy to be back together. How is everyone doing? How is this newly minted year treating you thus far? Me? Hey, not bad. I'm still standing. So here we go. All right. So what is it that we are going to talk about today? What is my love letter to you going to be about? Well, I want to talk to you about one thing. No, not the A. Marie song. You know, that crazy record with the go beat, one of my favorites. Actually, it is the concept of focusing on one thing at a time. Very important. So the long and short of it is we were designed to be great at focusing in on one thing at a time. Yes, there are select people who are born with the brain power to be able to deal with more than one thing at a time and handle those multiple things just as well as the rest of us are at handling one thing at a time. Yes, we all have had moments when we did manage to do a few things at once and pulled it off. Yes, we live in a society where we celebrate the multitasker and we would love to be seen as someone who can do it all at once. However, the truth is we absolutely shine when we focus in on one thing at a time. And we often struggle when we try to do more than one thing at a time. To be truthful, we set ourselves up for the greatest chance of success, greatness, and genius level outcomes when we focus our time, attention, and energy on just one thing at a time. So if you're playing this episode while trying to handle other things that aren't repetitive, like working out, cleaning, driving, or some other activity that you do all of the time, and you don't have to put much thought into doing it, then you may be hearing my words, but you're not fully listening to my message. And please keep in mind, I'm not making this about me and my ego. It's not because I'll just die if you don't give me your undivided attention. It's just that the same way you're not listening to me, you're also not fully paying attention to whatever else you're doing. That means you're half-assing it with our time together, and that's not good. And you're half-assing it with whatever else you're trying to do. And so you're not giving yourself the best return for anything that you're doing right now. And none of that is good. So the whole reason why I take the time and spend energy to create these love letters to you is because I want better for you. I want better for us, actually. If that doesn't happen, then everything that I do to make this podcast work is wasted time, wasted energy, and you're wasting your time as well because you're not getting the full benefit of it. So I really want and need for our time together to benefit the both of us. That's my mission. So my first message to you is for you to respect and take full advantage of the fact that you are at your best when you focus in on one thing at a time. You tap into your highest level of success when you make it a habit to save the multitasking for the things that you do that are repetitive and don't require much of your thought or focus. Like, again, working out, you're cleaning, organizing, driving while running errands, etc., etc. All right. So now that you've received my first message, let's move on to the second message, which is about what we are focusing our attention on. So how many of your day-to-day activities focus on doing the things that either are going to propel you to the successes you want or are going to keep you where you want to be, where you're currently at? How many of your day-to-day activities focus on the things that 5 years from now, if someone reminded you that you did those activities, you would not only be a little embarrassed that you spent your time in that way, you would regret them because you realize that doing those things delayed you from achieving the successes that you wish that you had for yourself and your family right now. See, most of us can look back and regret money that we spent on bullshit. Of course, in the moment, it was great, but hindsight is 20/20, and present day us is looking at old school us and saying, "You asshole for spending our money in that way." Actually, I saw this factoid on Instagram from the Earn Your Leisure podcast. It said that if you had opted to take $300 or so that the first iPod cost, and instead purchase that amount in Apple stock, then those shares would be worth over $200,000 today. Sit with that for a second. $200,000. God damn. Yeah. That factoid kicked me in my chest. Now, to be fair, the iPod provides real-time joy, and experiencing joy should be a priority because it's important. Otherwise, why are we living? However, the experience of watching $300 grow into $200,000 over the course of 20 years would have brought joy, comfort, confidence, and the kind of wealth that solves a lot of the dumb problems as regular folks contend with day to day. $200,000 is a life-changing amount of money for most of us. And to think that could have happened if we had chose to spend the $300 on stock instead of iPod, I should say, hurts. So if you want more financial advice, please listen to the EYL podcast, aka Earn Your Leisure, and also let them know that I sent you. Just I'm trying to connect with those brothers. Anyway, this pod is a life coaching pod, so I'm gonna get back to the coaching. My point here is that since we are at our best when we focus on one thing at a time, we need to be very intentional about what we are focusing in on. If we focus on junk, then we will be great at dealing and generating more junk. If we focus on things of value, then we will be great at generating more value in our lives. It's as simple as that. Now, of course, we should make room for the fun, the ratchet, the frivolous, the guilty pleasures that make life fun, because the reality of the human experience is that we aren't promised tomorrow. Shit, we're not even promised the next few seconds from now. So always delaying the fun because we want what we want for the future isn't any more healthy than always delaying today's work because we want the fun now. Okay, it's about balance. It always comes down to balance and finding it, achieving it, and maintaining it. So, make sure you work hard, but make sure you have some fun, and make sure you're not giving up work hours for too much fun and vice versa. All right. So the way I approach my day to day is I ask myself several times a day, is what I'm doing right now helping me get to where I want to be? Now, if the answer is yes, I keep pushing forward and doing whatever it is that I'm doing. If the answer is no, then I have to ask myself, why are you doing this? If the answer is because I need to chill, that's fine, and I continue to chill. If I don't have a legitimate reason for doing whatever it is that I'm doing, and the activity is definitely not going to help me get to where I want to be, then I abandon that activity. I quit, I stop, and I refocus my energy and efforts. I actually think of my approach in terms of taking a road trip. You set your GPS for your destination and hit the road following the directions. You know that if you follow the directions, you will arrive to your destination close to or exactly as the GPS ETA predicts. Now, if you go off course, then your ETA changes. Now, being delayed because you have to stop for gas or to use a restroom or grab something to eat is fine, because any and all of those three reasons for going off course ultimately support your mission to getting to that destination. You need gas, you absolutely need to eat, and you definitely need to use the restroom, especially if you've eaten. And if you don't do those things, then you may not get there at all. Now, if you decide to stop to see or do other things along the way, other than getting gas, food, or using the restroom, and it wasn't part of the plan, then you're unnecessarily delaying your arrival. If you're not in a rush or even have to get to wherever it is you're trying to go, then take all the delays you want. Otherwise, stay the course. Now, I feel like that's a pretty good analogy, right? I think so. Treat your goals like the road trip and only do the things that keep you on course and get you to wherever it is you're trying to go. Now, in order to live your best life, you have to put in your best effort. It is extremely important to use good judgment when it comes to deciding how you're going to spend your time and energy. So remember, we work at our best when we focus on one thing at a time. So just make sure that one thing counts. Make sure that the one thing in that moment in time is getting you to where you need to be, where you want to go, all the above, all right? So I think that's a good clip, right? It's enough. You've had enough of me, right? Man, I really appreciate you spending the time, taking this time, sharing your time with me, I should say. If you need or want more from me, I have more. You have the DJ Silk version of me, Mixcloud and Twitch.com, DJ Silk 12. That is DJ Silk, SILK, the number 1, the number 2. You can check out Soul School, the live streams. If you want the fun version of me, you can check out the Culture Misfits podcast. All of these things, you can find a link on my Instagram at DJ Silk. Just go to my bio, click on the link tree, and you will see all the links for all the different things that I'm doing. Also, please, if you don't mind, rate this podcast. The ratings help. And if you have comments or if you have suggestions as to something you think you would like for me to talk to you about, man, hit me up. I'm accessible. Okay. Keep striving to be the best version of yourself that you can. Don't worry if you trip up every once in a while. It's just par for the course. You don't fail unless you quit. So keep at it. All right. Until the next time, I am Brandon, aka DJ Silk. This is the End Podcast, and I will see you later. Be safe.